try to understand these two things about rule and status functions. Status function, like gold serves as money in such context, kind of. Yeah, I think the status function is formulated very well for money. But usually, many institutions have a form of rules in the sense of if, then kind of propositions. And so I feel a bit uneasy that all the institutions can be really captured by status functions in South formulations.
I mean, as I said, I just picked out the two concepts that I need for my paper. The entire theory, Searle's theory, has additional components, especially the question how institutionalized behavior is based on an allocation of power between different agents. And this then, in your example, means, of course, if you describe an institution as an if-then rule, then in the Searle approach, the question is, why is this if-then rule binding? This is a major question. And then he would continue and try to show, okay, there is this, I describe a certain regular behavior in a population of agents according to an if-then rule, but my question then is, why do they follow the rules? And then you have neurophysiological dispositions, you have certain agents, for example, who have also the power to enforce rules and so forth. And for understanding this, the status function is very important. For example, somebody who has the power to enforce is also treated as somebody. For example, a judge is an ordinary person in another context, but then, within the setting of a court, the judge adopts a special position. And so the status function applies for this. So I think one can deal with this question. So I would say that this if-then in the Searle framework is just the way how you describe the institution, but not really how it works. The working is based on this more complex setting of dispositions, enforcement, and so on. And I think he has a long.
But you talk about this power elements here, but like social exchange kind of things, more reciprocal relationship. And but suppose that if you don't reciprocate some kind of kindness to you, and then I may be ostracized from a community or something like that. This is the kind of rule, right? But how do you interpret this as power relations?
I mean, in case of simple reciprocity, I doubt that Searle would say that this is an institution. I mean, he has. I mean, we can go into a lot of detail here because he has also explicit distinction between institutions which just are rules of existing activities. For example, if I drive a car, the car is there. I can basically use it. Also without any institution, but might cause a big mess. But there are other institutions which really create the thing, as in the case of money. I mean, money does not exist as such, and also many other activities, like a financial market. Financial market does not exist, but a market for apples in a traditional society, in principle, exists because there is this fundamental reciprocity. But then Searle would say that some activities are, in a sense, natural, and one should be careful using the notion of institution here, and others are more substantial in terms of this institutional the role of institutions. Okay, but it's really this is actually what it's a big problem with this sort of discussion, because you have all those fundamental concepts, and you can really pick out every concept and have a long debate about this. And and I think my main message today should be this: that we can discuss all the elements, but my main message is about the structure. The structure. How can we relate different approaches in order to achieve this aim, to outline a naturalistic approach to money as an alternative to the standard economic approach, I mean mainstream economic approach to money. And so I take Searle's theory as the basis. And then, as you see, I add layers. The layers are of increasing generality, scope, more comprehensive. One step is Searle's notion of status function, basically a sort of metaphor, shift of meaning. There is a fully fledged theory of this sort of thing in cognitive science. And this is Fauconnier and Turner, a theory of cognitive blending. In their work, they try to show that a purely computational approach to cognitive science might be misleading because you never get the semantics wrong. What is the role of meaning? And so they work out a conceptual framework for this, and they call this cognitive blending. And cognitive blending is exactly what happens in the case of John Searle's status function. So this is the layer that I add. This theory is very close to another neuroscience-based theory in cognitive sciences, which is George Lakoff's neuronal theory of metaphor. Lakoff was very influential with his theory in many contexts, even politics, as an advisor in the United States to Clinton, President Clinton. And this neural theory of metaphor basically is about how to establish a sort of correspondence between the analysis of metaphors, use of meanings, shift of meanings on the one hand, and our knowledge about the structure and the processes in the human brain. It is, it is of course very difficult to go into details in the sense of causal explanations. Our knowledge about human brain is still too limited. But what one can show is the correspondences. This is what Lakoff actually does in his work and others. And the point is that I argue, this framework, especially Lakoff's framework, then can be used to give a more precise meaning to Searle's notion of rule following. Rule following as a neurophysiological disposition. So in that sense, my idea is this ends up